I don't know if you're like me, but I love YouTube for looking for things to learn. But what I found was way more often than learning, what I was really doing was wasting my time until I decided to get serious about it and treat YouTube not just as a learning tool, but a tool to take action too. I'm going to go through in this video step by step exactly what I do to create impact in my life and in my business in 5 days for something that legitimately used to take me the entire month to do. Now, I teach about using artificial intelligence for productivity and personal development. So it's probably not a big surprise. I'm going to use artificial intelligence in this. But what I want to make sure that I make very clear is the principles behind this are all tried and true tested principles. We're just using artificial intelligence to speed up the process and make an impact a lot quicker. So as you're going through this, keep that in mind. Artificial intelligence is the tool. You're the one that's making the impact and making the change. Stay tuned to the middle of the video because there's one question that I ask AI that creates magic. And I'm serious. This isn't YouTube talk here. Actual real results that I never thought that I would see. You'll see at the very end of the video, you'll want to stick around because I'm going to show you how ChatGPT and Gemini showed me how to implement a strategy I was very interested in and do it all in Notion for free. Before we get started here, it would be against the YouTube rules if I did not say, if you find these videos interesting, useful, or educational, make sure you like, subscribe, or ring the little bell to be notified when new videos about using AI for personal development and productivity come out. Now that I've got that disclaimer out of the way, let's get started. So here we are in YouTube. Now, this may go without saying, but first thing we're wanting to do is find a video we're interested in. This approach usually works best when we're talking about educational videos, videos that are laying out a framework, something that we are trying to learn and really honestly, most importantly, put it into action. Because, and this is where, when I go back to the wasting time portion, I've spent a lot of time watching cool videos that I liked a lot, and then that's all I got out of it. Maybe a little nugget stuck in my mind, but I didn't really do anything with it after that. In this video, we're going to take that first piece of it, which everybody does, and we're going to level it up, and we're actually going to use it to implement change in our lives based on it. So things that work in that framework obviously are going to be the things that can make the most impact, and this approach will work best for. So in this case, I found a video. It's from Dan Martell. If you haven't checked out Dan, awesome videos, great stuff. Did one just a couple weeks ago about the top 13 books for being an entrepreneur. Highly recommend checking it out. Maybe I'll put it in the descriptions if I remember. But so this video that I picked today, because I was really interested in Dan's approach to 90 days to making $1 million in your business. Do I think I'll make $1 million in 90 days? We'll have to stay tuned and see. But I liked the idea of the approach. And so I wanted to learn more about it. So I came to this video, found the video here. Now, what happened originally when I started doing this type of stuff and trying to learn from YouTube videos, I went to the video, I started watching a video. I'm like, this is really cool. I like the stuff, a lot of meat here, that kind of thing. And then I added a little tool you'll see down here on the side. And what this tool allows me to do is to grab the transcription from the video, pop it into ChatGPT or really any other tool if I'd like. And while I'm in there, you'll see here, I can pick all of these tools. And there's the extension, the YouTube summary. I can use any of these tools and take that original video transcript and convert it into a summary of the video. Now, what's really cool about this tool is you can customize it. And so you can see here what it's doing right now. It's summarizing it into 5 to 10 bullet points with timestamps and so on and so forth, putting the title and the description in there. I can change that up if I like. What I want to do in this case, I'm going to grab it just as it is, and then I'm going to start to manipulate it in ChatGPT and also look at it in Gemini to build the action plan portion of this. Another very cool thing about this extension is you can have follow-up prompts. As I said, I'm going to do all of this in ChatGPT and Gemini, but if you wanted an automated system, you can add some follow-ups in here. The reason that I'm not using the follow-ups here, I think they're very useful in a lot of cases. I want to read the output, sort of assimilate that in my mind first, and then decide what the next follow-up questions are going to be. But if you have things you're going to use on a regular basis, I highly recommend using the follow-up prompts. As a matter of fact, if you find yourself, as I often do, getting sort of sidetracked and down the rabbit hole, instead of honing in on what's really important in the video and what I can take away and implement, actual action items out of, in the follow-up prompts, put that in there. Okay, we've got the summary, we've got the summary of the transcript, the main points, first follow-up prompt. What things can I take action on in my life based on this video? And then you've got that in there. But today we're just going to go through those sort of manually. But I did want to show you that it is available and really cool in the app. For now, we're just going to click on this little guy right here and choose ChatGPT, GPT-4o. And you'll see it on the screen. It brings in the entire transcript. And so there it loads in the transcript. At the very top, it has the prompt that we asked for. And then it is going to go through, and it's a pretty long transcript, and build out how to actually build $1 million business in 90 days with the timestamps and the main items that go along with it. And you'll see here, it does a great job. It breaks everything down. And Dan, it's a 90-day plan. It figured out the increments that Dan has in the plan and breaks it all down for us there. But we are going to take that a step further. I'm going to provide ChatGPT a very simple prompt here, which is lay out the 90-day plan in an outline for me. In this case, it's the 90-day plan. If it's something about self-discipline, you could prompt it on what are the things I need to do, outline what are the key steps in the self-discipline, whatever it is. But that's the next one, is getting the outline. We're doing it in increments. We're not trying to get to the very end goal all at once here. We've got the summary. Now we're going to ask for an outline. And you'll see it does a great job in ChatGPT of providing that outline. We're distilling it down, taking Dan's information and distilling it into the 90-day plan. So we're removing some of the other pieces and really just getting the action steps and the items that go in here. So you'll see here, it's built in a phase 1 and a phase 2. So phase 1 is time and energy audit. Phase 2 is increasing profitability. And then phase 3 is systemize and scale. Phase 4 is to scale and automate. And then it gives us bullet points in each of these for the things that we should do, which is really important to have that as a part of the process. And then once we've got the entire outline, remember, again, this is just an outline. There's not an action plan. Nothing is put in place yet. We are going to prompt it with good stuff. I like to say good stuff. And the real reason behind why I affirm my AI tools when I'm doing this is that I am concerned that someday they're going to take over, and I am trying to get on their good side. Now, the reason I do it is because I'm just used to it, and that was the manners I was taught. If somebody does something and you like it, then you give them good feedback. And I don't know. I don't even know if it does any good whatsoever, but that's how I start the prompt with. And then the meat of it, and this is what I talked about at the beginning of the video, the sort of secret sauce, the magic in here is, how can I implement it? You can use that regardless of which video you're watching or what the subject is about. Ask the question, how can I implement it? Now, the piece that I do differently, and that was through experimenting and finding different ways to try different things out that I find that works the best, is I offer up some suggestions to go along with that, to allow the AI tool to give a little context behind what I'm looking to do. So how can I implement it? Should I create a checklist, a framework, a document of some type? I've actually done Dan's 90-day before, and I asked it, should I create an app that I can use to make sure I'm staying on track? And it gave me some awesome ideas for a product for an app. So just some different things you can do. But today we just want to learn how can we implement it in simple terms. And so we're going to start that process with this prompt here. And so it provides back to me this sort of general outline for its implementation strategy, creating that master checklist that we that I suggested, building a framework for another 90 days. And it talks about Notion and Trello. We're going to get back to there in just a minute. Option 3, printing it out. And then developing a daily execution plan, automate, delegate, so on and so forth, and tracking. All good stuff. But now is when we want to go back a step. But now we want to break that down into actionable items that we can work with. So the very first thing I look at is the Create a Master checklist. I don't know what the checklist is. I don't know how to do it. I didn't actually watch Dan Martell's video to get all the information out of it. So I've got to now go into that step. Much too often overlooked feature in ChatGPT is the reply function. So you see, we've got these 5, 6 different things that it told us, and that's great, but we want to chunk it down. And I want to start with that master checklist. So if I come up here and see if I can have it show on the screen, there we go. You'll notice that there's a closed quotation mark on there, and it says reply. What it's doing is it's just taking that one piece of the response that ChatGPT gave us, and we're going to have a conversation about that one piece. We're not talking about the other ones, just the one right now. So when I click that, you'll see it adds that information here. So it has the context of what we're asking for, and I'm going to ask it, please build out the detailed checklist. It's a straightforward, simple prompt that goes along with that. You notice it put it in a box here because now, and it moves over there, it is going to build out a document for us as opposed to just having a chat. And on the left now is the chat over here, and on the right is the document it's building. As you'll notice here, it is providing us almost none of the information. So we're going to have to go back and ask it once it's done to please fill in the items that go in the bullet points that it hasn't provided for us. So you'll see here, after I've prompted it to give me the next steps, the implementation portion of it, the very first thing, I think it's really important to call attention to this. It says, you're thinking in the right direction, exclamation point. See the benefit of when I told it was doing a good job. It is now affirming me, and I feel better about myself. Actually, it truly does make me feel better about myself. But in here, it mentions that, we are on the right track, that type of thing. And it starts to list out the pieces. So the checklist that I mentioned, it shows us here. It gives us an actual checklist. Here's the things you're going to do daily and weekly, and provides a checklist for us to implement this process. It recommends using an app, and it provides the apps down here that you could use to use that checklist in your daily tasks to keep track of them. Another one, which is the one that I had asked it previously, is the accountability chatbot. So creating some type of app, which is a cool idea. Might not do it right away for this, but it is something really cool that it's provided back to us, along with automating as much as possible, finding an accountability partner, which is optional, and then the final steps, each of the things that we need to do to implement the process. So just so we don't get lost in the weeds here, we started with a video on YouTube that we thought was interesting, and we're now at a place where we have daily action steps, weekly steps, ways to be accountable for ourselves or maybe with others to implement what we watched on the video. So we have no longer sat and watched a video and thought that was really cool. Someday, maybe, I wish I had time, whatever that is. We still have lots of excuses, but one excuse we don't have is, how am I going to do it? Because ChatGPT has now helped us figure that out. And now once you're at this point, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, having the notes and having it here are great. And it's offered a lot of different things to us as far as what we can do to implement this. I use Notion all the time. Notion helps me run my life. If you don't have Notion, Notion is free. Link down below. It is notion.so. Not a tough link to remember, but you can use it for free. It's a limited edition, but to be honest with you, maybe more than you ever need in the free edition, and unless you have a team or something that you're working with. I also use Notion AI, which is not free. There is also a link for that down below. That is an affiliate link. Thank you. But I think it's like $10 a month or something. And I use the AI portion of it on a nonstop basis. So for this specific situation, I really wanted to use Notion to implement Dan's ideas into my life and make it trackable and accountable and measurable. And so the next prompt I have here is asking it to help me design the plan by using Notion. I did call out Notion AI also so that they know that I have it. And I also use Notion Calendar. Again, another free tool, works with Notion, works with your Google, Microsoft Outlook, whatever calendars, and you can use all of those together there. Another great thing, we'll do another video, but I did ask for it. Call out specifically, these are the tools I'm using, which I highly recommend if you're going to ask it, okay, I got the implementation. Now I want to get into the details of how I'm going to implement it, having the actual tools you're going to use to implement it with called out. And then we see here, ChatGPT takes me through the process in some pretty decent detail. I'm going to need to understand some things about how to build things in Notion to do this, but it is a pretty detailed process. You'll see here, step one, create the dashboard, do the checklist with auto updating. I think they mean reoccurring tasks, but that still works. Using Kanban or table view for the task tracking, so on and so forth. All these things available in Notion, and also using accountability chatbot, using the Notion AI chat, which is a feature to do that, and then integrate it back to my calendar for planning and time blocking. If it were to stop right there, I'd say you did a great job. I understand these pieces. I'll carry on from here, but it actually keeps going. And after just the dashboard piece, going into some really deep details on what to do next. And you'll see here, and you can really build things straight out from here. Take my Notion data, build a Notion database, put these fields on it. Notion calls it properties. It got pretty close. And here's all the properties and what they do and what you need to put in there, including like I've got a pick list called status, and then it's telling me what statuses to add in there. I've got categories. It's telling me what categories. It's truly designing essentially a piece of software for us from a simple prompt that we can really use in real life. Step three is building out the checklist, and you'll see here each of the items that go into the database for the checklist. I'm not going to go through all this in detail. I just wanted to show you that it can really help build out the very fine details of not just a database or using Notion, actually taking the concept in a YouTube video we're watching and help us implement it in the real world. For example, step 5, the time blocking portion. So now we're going to go into our calendar and build these 5 different, if we go back into Notion, you can see we have databases and these different calendars, and they will translate over to Notion calendars as separate calendars. And you'll see it's saying to build out these 5 different calendars so we can track our time blocking and how we visualize it in Notion. So we know this is deep work, this is engagement, this is content creation. I mean, this is, I'd pay $5,000 for this. That's not a joke to get this implemented. And it's building each of these pieces out for us in here. And then onto the chatbot. We're not going to spend time going through all of it. I just wanted to show you that the impact it can make. And then I said, hey, can you build this out for me? And just so you know, when I tried this, it didn't do a great job, but the first part of it was awesome. And so that's it. The key takeaway from this is just a few steps. We could have done this in 5 minutes, even though the video is like 15, 20 minutes long. But in 5 minutes, you could have taken a YouTube video that has a framework and something you want to implement in your life, break it down into an outline, ask for help implementing it, develop the outline for your implementation, develop the key specific steps for that implementation. If you're going to use a tool to implement that, such as Notion, like I'm doing here, getting the exact steps to go through. Now, I will, in the future, when I get a chance, actually build this out in Notion, and I'll make sure to share that with everybody in the description here. In the meantime, if you'd like more information about how to utilize AI like this for personal development and productivity, you can grab a copy of my ebook. It's totally free. Link in the description down below that walks through the framework that I use for personal development and how I use artificial intelligence to do things in about 30 days that, to be honest, would take me a year to accomplish or even get started on most of the time without having those tools available. And if you enjoy videos like this and deep dives into different ways you can use artificial intelligence in your life for personal development, productivity, and just general self-improvement, make sure you click subscribe, ring the little bell to be notified when the next video goes out. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up. Until next time, if you wouldn't mind, comment down below what ways that you found to use artificial intelligence in your life to level up.